If the last few years felt like a crazy AI gold rush, super chaotic, really exciting, a ton of speculative bets, then 2026, well, that's the year we actually start building the city. The whole era of just frantic experimentation, that's kind of giving way to a new mandate, building AI that's structured, strategic, and most importantly, profitable. All right, let's get into it.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we're going to talk about the great AI correction, that moment when the hype gets a serious reality check. Then we'll introduce the new kids on the block, smarter, autonomous AI agents that are really taking center stage. After that, we'll look at the new infrastructure we're building to manage them all, the AI factory. Of course, with that comes new dangers, so we'll tackle how to tame these rogue agents. And finally, we'll see how all of this changes our jobs, shifting us from being operators to orchestrators. It's quite a journey.
All right, first up, the great AI correction. You know that initial hype cycle? It was fueled by a massive case of FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Well, now it's crashing head-on into the hard reality of business economics. The big question is no longer, hey, what can AI do? It's, okay, what is AI actually doing for our bottom line?
And the answer, so far, has been a huge wake-up call. Get this, a recent MIT study found that a staggering 95% of enterprise generative AI pilot programs have failed to produce any return on investment. So why is that number so incredibly high? Well, it's often because these projects were launched without any clear business goals. It was just tech for tech's sake, The technology couldn't be properly plugged into existing workflows. And that is forcing a major rethink across the entire industry.
Now, what's really interesting here is the nuance. According to Angela Kristen at Stanford, it's not like the bubble is completely popping. It's more like the hype is hitting a plateau. The days of just throwing unlimited cash at any AI experiment that sounds cool, yeah, those are over.
So, here's the bottom line. 2026 is all about the demand for results. You have to justify the investment. This pressure for a real ROI is the catalyst for the next big shift we're going to talk about. It's forcing a move away from those massive, super costly models and toward a whole new breed of AI that's leaner, smarter, and built from the ground up for business. Let's see what that looks like.
And that brings us right to our second section, the arrival of these smarter, autonomous agents. As the demand for ROI gets louder, the technology itself is evolving to meet it. You could say these new systems are really the main characters in the 2026 tech story.
So what in the world is agentic AI? Well, unlike the earlier models that pretty much just sat there waiting for you to type in a prompt, these systems are designed to act. They can plan, they can reason, and they can actually execute tasks across a bunch of different applications, all with a pretty high degree of independence. They don't just answer your questions, they actually go out and get things done for you.
And this chart just brilliantly illustrates the market's excitement. I mean, look at this. The projected growth for agentic AI is absolutely explosive. We're talking about a jump from just over $7 billion in 2025 to over $93 billion by 2032. Investors are betting big, and I mean big, that these autonomous systems are the future of enterprise AI.
And a really key part of this whole agentic revolution is the rise of small language models, or SLMs. This slide breaks down perfectly why they're becoming the go-to choice for businesses. I mean, first, just look at the cost difference. SLMs are often 60 to 70% cheaper to run than those giant LLMs. Then you've got speed. Because they're smaller, they can run right on your device, which makes them incredibly fast and responsive. And finally, and this is a huge deal for businesses, governance. Their focused, specialized nature makes them way easier to control and to audit. That is a massive win for security and compliance.
Okay, so with all these powerful new agents ready to go, the focus naturally shifts, right? The question becomes, how do you manage thousands of these autonomous systems at scale, safely and efficiently? And that leads us right into our third section, building the AI factory.
Exactly. The gold rush is over, and now it's time to actually build the city's infrastructure. The roads, the power grid, the rules. It's a huge move away from just a bunch of individual projects to a really robust, enterprise-wide system for deploying and managing AI.
So the architectural blueprint for this AI factory is something called platform engineering. Its main goal is to create what's known as an internal developer platform, or an IDP. Now, the easiest way to think about this is like a set of official, pre-approved, totally secure Lego blocks for your developers. Instead of having to start from scratch every single time, they can just use these trusted blocks to build and deploy AI agents quickly, consistently, and safely. It basically hides all the underlying complexity.
And believe me, this isn't some niche trend. Gartner is predicting that by 2026, a massive 80% of software companies will be using these platforms. It's quickly becoming the standard operating model for any organization that's serious about doing AI at scale.
So the really crucial takeaway here is that this new infrastructure isn't just about moving faster. As this quote points out, it's about shifting from a culture of pure speed to a culture of clarity. It's about building trust right into the system. The conversation moves beyond just pipelines and automation and toward visibility, trust, and making smarter decisions. But, that raises a really important question.
What happens when these autonomous agents don't follow the rules? This brings us to the fourth, and maybe the most critical, part of our story: taming the rogue agents. I mean, think about it. When you give an AI the keys to your systems, the ability to interact with APIs, access data, trigger workflows, you are introducing a powerful new class of risk. So where are the guardrails?
And this risk is very, very real. A recent study revealed that 82% of US companies have already seen AI agents go rogue, making incorrect decisions, exposing sensitive data, or causing security breaches. This is the central challenge of this new agentic era.
The dangers here are coming from a bunch of different angles. You've got broken access control, which is already the #1 API security risk, and it becomes even more dangerous with autonomous agents. We're seeing the rise of what people are calling shadow agentic AI, basically unsanctioned agents operating completely without oversight. They can bypass security controls and, critically, leave no audit trail, making it pretty much impossible to figure out what they did or why they did it.
Okay, so the solution that's emerging to tame these agents is a concept called just-in-time authorization. Here's the idea. Instead of giving an agent a permanent key with broad access to everything, you issue it a temporary single-use token for one specific task. It's a policy of least privilege, making sure the agent has only the access it needs for only as long as it needs it. Simple, but powerful. So, with smarter agents operating inside these secure, factory-like systems, what's left for us, the people, to do? Well, this brings us to our final section, the evolution of the human role. And the good news is, we're not being replaced, we're being promoted. This slide just captures the shift perfectly. The old role was all reactive, right? Firefighting, fixing broken pipelines, manually executing tasks. The new role is strategic. It's about curating the right AI models, designing the resilient systems they operate in, and orchestrating the overall strategy. It's a move from being down in the engine room to being up on the bridge of the ship. And this isn't just a theory, it's a prediction coming straight from top industry leaders. The Chief Technology Officer of Wipro sees the autonomous enterprise as pretty much an inevitability by 2026, with the human role fundamentally shifting to one of orchestration.
So, what skills does an orchestrator actually need? Well, it's less about manual coding and much more about system-level thinking. Things like understanding AI-driven monitoring, embedding security directly into code, designing these big platforms, and, maybe most importantly, collaborating across different teams to make sure the entire autonomous system is working towards the right business goals.
So, we've gone from that chaotic gold rush to the dawn of a grand design. The tools are getting smarter, the factories are being built, and the new rules of engagement are being written as we speak. But the crucial point is that this new era needs a conductor. The autonomous enterprise is arriving, and the only real question left is, are you ready to be its orchestrator?